we're going to do money starters today, seeing as we did money a couple of weeks ago. So first of all, 3 friends club together to buy raffle tickets to win a football shirt. They've got £2.55, £1.80 and £3.10. How many raffle tickets can they afford between them? The tickets cost 50p each. So let's work out the total amount of money that they've got. So we need to do £2.55, add £1.80, add £3.10. And remember, when we're adding up our amounts of money, it's very important that we keep our decimal points all in a nice line so that all the digits appear in the correct columns. So starting from the right hand side, 5 add 0 is 5, 5 add 8 add 1, that's 14, and 2 add 1 add 3 is 6. So between them, the 3 friends have got £6.45. So if the raffle tickets cost 50p each, how many can they get? Well, they can get 2 for every pound, can't they? And they've got £6, so they're going to be able to get 12. But they won't be able to get the 13th one. Look, they're 5p short. So they'll be able to get 12 tickets. And they'll have 45p left over. Okay? Right, and the second one. What change would you get from £20 if you spent £11.86? Let's do this by adding on rather than doing a subtraction. So starting off with £11.86, if we make that up to the next pound along, that's £12. And we would have to add 14p, wouldn't we? Okay, so let me just set that out in a slightly different way. Let's put the arrow to the £12 there, sorry. And that would mean adding 14p. Okay, and then to make it up to the £20, we'll need another £8. So altogether, our change would be the 14p, add the £8, so it's £8.40. Okay, you could still go £20, take away £11.86, but you'd have all that borrowing to do. Okay, sometimes counting on's a bit easier, but it doesn't matter how you do it as long as you get to the answer. Okay, so we're looking at volume today. We've been looking at length, area, volume and weight generally, and we've focused on length and area in the last couple of days. So now it's volume's turn. Okay, now you're all viewing this on different sizes of devices, so I can almost guarantee that none of you are actually looking at an exact centimetre. It's very unlikely. Okay, so imagine a little cube, like a sugar cube, that is 1 centimetre by 1 centimetre by 1 centimetre. Okay, this is called a cubic centimetre. Okay, the amount of sugar in that sugar cube is 1 cubic centimetre. Okay, now also another way of measuring volume is to use litres and millilitres. Remember, we looked at that a couple of days ago when we looked at all the different units for measure, and for volume we had liquid measure in litres and millilitres, and we had spatial measure with centimetres, so they were cubic centimetres or cubic millimetres or cubic metres. Okay, the connection between them is that 1 cubic centimetre is the same size as 1 millilitre. Okay, so that's a really important thing to know, because sometimes you might be talking about volume in terms of cubic centimetres and the question might have something to do with millilitres. So you need to know that they're the same size as each other. Okay, also 1 litre is 1,000 millilitres. Okay, and so 1,000 millilitres is the same as 1,000 cubic centimetres. So a litre is also 1,000 cubic centimetres. Okay, so let's have a little think. See if we know how much each of these things hold. So 1 teaspoon is 5 millilitres. Okay, that's the official measure of a teaspoon. So if you're using measuring spoons for baking, a teaspoon is 5 millilitres, or a normal teaspoon, that you would get your coffee or your sugar with, it is 5 millilitres. But that is when it's flat. That's not a heaped teaspoon. Okay, so imagine if you had a teaspoon of water, that is 5 millilitres, which is, remember, 5 of those little 1 centimetre cubes. Difficult to imagine, I think, that 5 of those would fit onto a teaspoon, but there you go. So let's stick with spoons. So a tablespoon is, it's not a dessert spoon. So a dessert spoon is what you would use for probably eating your cereal or your pudding. A tablespoon is bigger than that, and it's probably, used for things like baking and adding large amounts of things, because it's quite a big spoon. But the actual measure of a tablespoon is that it is 15 millilitres. So it would be 15 of these or 3 of those. Okay, so if you didn't have a tablespoon, that's okay, because you can use 3 of them. Okay, right, do you know how much liquid is in a normal sized can of Coke? So again, it's measured in millilitres, and the normal sized cans have 330 millilitres in them. So if this was frozen and cut into little cubes, there would be 330 of these centimetre cubes in there. Okay, and then a large carton of apple or orange juice. Well, so these aren't the little ones that you can stick a straw in, because they tend to be 200 millilitres usually, maybe 250. But the big cartons are 1 litre. Okay, let's see if we can see that on the packaging. I don't think I can see it. It's probably on the other side of the carton. So it's 1 litre. And can you remember from what we just looked at how many millilitres are in a litre? Let's just check. There we are. 1 litre is 1,000 millilitres. So again, if we could freeze the contents and cut them into little 1 centimetre cubes, then there would be 1,000 of those in that big carton. Okay, so we're going to have a little think about some problems to do with volume just now. A 2 litre bottle of lemonade is to be poured into cups which hold 150 millilitres each. How many full cups can be poured from the bottle? So we've got a 2 litre bottle of lemonade, so that's 2 litres, and these cups hold 150 millilitres. So then we need to work out how many of these 150s we can get from 2 litres, but they're in different units, aren't they? We've got millilitres and litres. So let's make sure we're working in the same units. Let's think about our 2 litres. So 2 litres is the same as 2,000 millilitres, because remember 1 litre is 1,000 millilitres. So we need to work out how many 150s we can get out of 2,000. So we can work our way up our 150 times table, or we can take a little shortcut, because we know that 150 times 10 is 1,500. So we're not far off the 2,000 there, are we, anyway? So we know the answer is going to be more than 10. So if we had 10 cups, we would need 1,500 millilitres. So 11, we would have to add another 150. So that would give us 1,650. So we've still got enough, because we've got 2,000. If we had 12, add another 150 onto this, gives us 1,800. 13, add another 150, that's 1,950. And again, we've still got enough, because we've got 2,000. 14 cups though, add 150 onto that, and you're up to 2,100. So you can't get 14 cups because you've only got 2,000 millilitres. The answer is that you can pour 13 full cups. And if we look at how much you would fit into 13 full cups, that's 1,950. So you'd still have 50 millilitres of juice left over. Lemonade, sorry. Okay. Right, next question. There are 12 children at a party, which is in a huge room, and they are all socially distancing because that's what we've got to do. So, they're each going to be given a 200 millilitre cup of apple juice. How many 1 litre cartons will the party host need to buy, and how much juice will be left over? Okay, so let's work out how much juice we're going to need first of all. We've got 12 children and they're going to get 200 millilitres each. Okay, so remember to multiply by 200, that's the same as times 2 and times 100. So 12 times 2 is 24, times 100, move 2 spaces to the left, so it's 2,400. Okay, so the party host needs 2,400 millilitres. Okay, now this juice comes in 1 litre cartons. So if you bought 1 carton, you'd have 1,000 millilitres. And that's not enough because you need 2,400. 2 cartons, you'd have 2,000 millilitres. And again, it's not enough. 3 cartons, you would have 3,000 millilitres, which is enough because we only need 2,400. So the answer is that they will have to buy 3 cartons. And in our 3 cartons, we've got 3,000 millilitres. We only need 2,400 millilitres. And we can either do a subtraction with borrowing, or we can just work it out in our heads that the amount left is 600 millilitres left over. Okay, now the next thing that we're going to look at is volume fun facts. I'm always surprised by volumes of particularly spheres. So that's a ball. A sphere is a ball. Okay, so what I want you to think about is, what do you think the volume of a tennis ball is? How many of those little milliliter cubes or cubic centimetres, how many of those do you think you would fit inside a tennis ball? And also, now a football's a bit too big to be thinking about the little cubic centimetres, but remember the large carton of apple juice that we looked at? That's a litre. So how many of those litre cartons do you think it would take to fill up a football, basically? So have a guess. Think about the tennis ball and the football. What do you reckon? Well, here are the actual answers. So think about your answers. There you are. A tennis ball has a volume of 157 cubic centimetres, and that's the same as 157 millilitres. And a football has a volume of 5,575 cubic centimetres, or like I said, if you think about it in terms of those litre cartons, just over 5.5. So it's quite surprising, isn't it, I think? I think the volume of things is always bigger than you expect them to be. Anyway, well done, and I will see you next time.